Welcome everybody to the review of the 2025 men's boat race, where I'll be breaking down the technique of the two crews and why I think Cambridge won. So, for those that are new here, my name's Jack Burns. I'm the founder and head coach of Edge Rowing. What we're doing in this video is ideally breaking down the techniques so that you can understand it and then you can maybe implement it into your stroke or into your crew. So, long story short, I think Cambridge has a better catch, and that's why they won. I'm pretty sure that they also have bigger ergs. I know this guy and this guy. This guy is around a 547, 45 or something now. And then this guy, he's around 550. I don't know what the other scores are in the crew, but I'm pretty sure these guys are have a bigger average. But I could be wrong. That's a total guess. Yeah, I didn't watch this race because the boat race is the most fucking boring race of the year. Pretty much the race is decided within the first 3 minutes and then nothing else happens. It's great for women's sport. I think it's a great platform for showcasing women's rowing, just in terms of the amount of views. But in terms of actual entertainment, it's pretty damn boring. But anyways, enough of that negative attitude, Jack. Let's get to the content. So, just looking at the catch, I would say, and again, one thing I think is interesting is this crew. Cambridge used to be coached by Steve Trapmore, and I believe now the coach is Rob Baker. But Steve Trapmore, he coached the GB Men's 8. He was also coached by Harry Mann in 2000. And anybody that I've seen that has been coached by Harry Mann that is now coaching has a really, really nice catch and a really nice connection and flow to the stroke. And actually, this guy, Dow, he was also coached by somebody who was also coached by Harry Mann. So it's interesting to see the styles. But anyways, I wonder if Steve Trapmore taught Rob Baker this technique and this way to row. Just me speculating. But anyways, I want to get to the actual technique. So I've edited this a little bit to hopefully avoid me from jumping around and wasting your time. But looking at the catches, basically, Cambridge, they keep their blade, if you ask me. They just keep it as they slide into the front. They keep their blade closer to the water so that when they get to the catch, it's a smaller drop for them to put the blade in. And that just means that they can get connected earlier. Whereas Oxford, if you ask me, they have a lot of blades. Like they have more daylight underneath their blade before they put it in. Which just means they don't connect as well as they can, and they kind of miss a bit of the catch. So if you want to get to some stuff that you can take home, first thing you need to do is practice squaring earlier, in my opinion. It's the easiest, most controllable thing that you can do to improve your catch. But once you do square early, play around with seeing how close you can keep your blade to the water as you slide forward. Now that's obviously really, really hard to do. If you're in a crew boat and you want to do it in pairs or double, that's an easier time to do it. What I used to do if you're in a single, just sat at the finish, square that right blade or left blade or whatever. And even as you're spinning the boat, that's one thing I would do. I was just play around with the hand height and see how close, even when you're turning the boat, how close you can keep that blade to the water anytime you're spinning the boat. So just it's a feeling thing, and you kind of have to experiment with it and play around with hand heights going into the front. And yeah, this is what the Cambridge crew does well, and the Oxford crew doesn't. Now, part of why I think Cambridge do that is obviously that practice and the coaching, but is the tension and the relaxation. These guys look more tense than these guys. So I'll try and find one of these shots here. But yeah, just much more loose. If we just look at the faces and everything like that, looks like much more impassive in the face. very little tension. I think it's just the start of it's maybe getting close to halfway through, but just they look so much more loose in the shoulders and in the face. And I think if you want a controllable thing that you can focus on, relax. Hey Robson, this is James Robson. Anyways, relax your face. And if you just think about keeping your chin, this is why we try and coach people to not tense up like that, because if you get tension here, you get tension in your neck, it goes to your chest. So try and think about rowing with a loose face, and that helps loosen the shoulders. If you increase tension in here, it just brings the shoulders up. And when you have more tension in the shoulders, it's harder to flow into the front with your hands and have that natural kind of loose catch. So if we go and find the Oxford crew, if we've got a close-up of these guys. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're down, and you're never going to be, it's hard to row loose when you're down, but just much more tension. I know 4 minutes has passed here, so I may be exaggerating this, but generally just looks like there's more tension. The shoulders are a little higher than the Cambridge crew, and I think it's part of the reason that they're missing connection. We'll just look at the Oxford crew a little bit more. 2 good shots here. But yeah, really, really nice. And you can see here. You can see here, because their blades are so close to the water, they pretty much all get locked in here. And then their whole crew is suspended from here all the way through to the finish. So it just means they're rowing with so much more length and so much more rhythm. And Dow hangs really nicely, leaves the stroke along. He rowed at St. Paul's, which I don't know I think he was in that crew that set all these records. And also Freddie Davidson rowed in that St. Paul's crew, who was also coached by Bobby Thatcher, who was coached by Harry Mann, who Harry Mann also coached Steve Trapmore. But anyways, they row with a really nice, both the Freddie and Dow, I think both them stroked the St. Paul's crew, a really nice long hang, a really nice loose catch, and a really nice long hang all the way through the stroke, where they're really leaving it alone. And when I say leaving it alone, that means you're not trying to grab the load with your upper body, you're leaving that load alone, and you're pushing with your legs. One way I like to think about it, one example, is like you've got a bag of smelly rubbish or garbage, and you're holding it like this, and you're taking it to the bin, or you're taking it to the garbage can, and you kind of want to keep it away from you as much as possible, and you're running. The other thing you can think about is a baby that's pissing. If you see the movies and the dad's like, whoa, it's kind of like you're trying to hold that baby far away from you so it doesn't piss on you. Kind of like that. It's when you're rowing and you're driving, you want to keep everything far away from you and just drive low through the feet, through the lats, through the legs. And if you're tense, you just can't do that, because what happens is you just send a lot of load up into the traps. And what you want to do, the perfect path, is transfer load through the oar, through the arm, and then straight through the lats and then into the legs there. But when you're tense, if you're tense here, the load goes up there into these weaker muscles, and it gets all screwed up, and then you can't get as much as it going through the legs. But yeah, we again just looking at the catches here, like the blades, they just seem to go right at the catch. The Oxford crews have done this for the past 10 years. I've always noticed this. I don't know why. They have a new coach this year, and look, I think they've still won while doing this, but their catches, the Oxford crew's catches, have not been as good. They're still good. I know they're still a really good crew, but in comparison to Cambridge, their blades go up like that at the catch when they want to be going in that direction. You see, they just kind of come in. They kind of coming in this direction. The water is flowing that way. And in my opinion, hold on, let's get the, yeah. The water is flowing this way. And what you want is to lift your hand straight up, and the blade goes straight in, and then you get a bit of backsplash on the back of the spoon. That's what I think you should do. And this is why I think they're not winning. But what they do is they kind of come in with the water. They kind of bring the hands back before the blade is locked in the water, and they just miss a bit. And when you have an eight people, and you're not connected, and you kick on the stern before you're locked in, the boat goes that way rather than going that way. So anyways, that's I could fucking waffle a lot more here. I think that's kind of the gist of it. If you like this video, let me know. I'll also be doing the women's boat race in the next video of this. And yeah, if you made it this far, comment protein. Okay? Like the video, and yeah, all the best. Cheers.